Gentlemen's Guide.
Thank y'all for coming, man. Thank y'all for taking out the time out of your busy schedules, especially on a Friday. But this is a conversation that has, to me, traditionally not been given the weight that it should have. So after having multiple conversations with Gerard, with Drew, we felt like this was something that needed to be heard by as many people as possible, which is why we're here, right? So just before we dive into the discussion, I want to give a quick description or intro into what the Gentleman's Guide is all about. Basically, it was a idea of mine. I started probably a little over a year ago, almost 2 years ago. But basically, I was coming from my perspective as a man, as a father and a husband, really just kind of unpacking all that is manhood from the Black perspective. And it really, given the current climate that we're in right now, this seemed all the more pressing that we needed to get it out, which is why we're all here. So without further ado, I'll let our new co-host lead off the discussion, where, as you guys already know, we're trying to unpack and answer, just as Black men, how are we? All right. So I'm gonna put everybody on mute, and then I'll let Gerard lead it off, and then we can go from there.
Again, man, thank you, Brandon, man, for like moving forward with this vision. The Gentleman's Guide. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a part of how it's pivoting and moving forward in the future. Just to give like even further context to build on what Brandon said, like we literally have been having a lot of conversation. Me with Brandon, Brandon with Andrew, me with Andrew, on and on and on. And then also for me, and many of you may be able to attest to this, I've been talking to my best friend, my wife, over and over and over. And it was about probably 2 weeks ago when I text you guys that she had, I text you guys after she kind of planted the idea. It was like, yo, why don't you do a Zoom? Why don't you get some of your friends together, guys you know you love, get them together and do a Zoom? And so I shared it with Brandon, shared it with Andrew, and it just kind of served as the perfect storm for Brandon to kind of get the Gentleman's Guide back going, and for us to kind of bring together this segment that Andrew gave us the name for, the check-in. And so that's what we're doing, man. We want to check in. Before we actually get to that, we want to introduce you, our audience, to the gentleman that we have here, who we think very highly of. And so first and foremost, we have my boy, Sadarius Lewis. We have Andrew Barnes. We have my man, Eric Ray. We also have Rich Griffiths. We have Mosetti Heath. We have yours truly, Gerard Barnes. And then we have the founder of the Gentleman's Guide platform, Brandon Barnes, my brother. And so to our audience, I will have you know that these men are husbands, they're fathers, they're professionals, they're gentlemen and scholars in their own right. And some might say that, hey, maybe we're late to the conversation. But I will argue, given all that we're seeing and watching and hearing, we're hearing from our leaders in our community. We're hearing from some of the prominent figures in our world. But I believe it's important that we hear our perspective. And it's not that I'm trying to put us on the level of this as if we're not great, but the man that is just literally going to work every day, in grad school, trying to carve out a life for his family. That's who we are. And so we want to hear your perspective as we answer the question, how are you? And you can answer it from the trajectory. How are you mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally? Only you can share your truth. And we believe that as you share your truth, there's going to be somebody, another man, perhaps, that is unable to articulate it the way that you can, that you'll speak to. And so, so Andrew, if you could, man, take us into this conversation, man, as it kind of has been for us as we've been dialoguing over the course of the weeks, man. Literally, how are you, man? How have you been coping? How have you been managing, bro?
Exhausted. I'm very exhausted, bro. I think everybody at this point, shares the same sentiment, yo. Like, it's a lot going on. Like, some people, like you said, bro, yourself, grad school, wife, kids, uh, whatever, you know what I'm saying, maintaining the household, like all that stuff, like, and then having to do other things, like just be strong mentally, emotionally, all this stuff for whoever, bro. It's just exhausting, bro. I think I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and she, a white young lady who I went to school with. Um, she reached out to me and was just like, "What? I don't know what to do." And I think this is the question that a lot of us are seeing from, or we're hearing it a lot from, maybe, some white people that we may know, or just anybody. What can I do to help? What are some places I can donate to, this, that, and the third, all that stuff. Um, and I just told her, bro, I was like, yeah, I just need a day. Just give me a day to I can't even talk about, I can't talk to anybody right now. Like, all I wanted to do was be in a creative space, which I'm in right now, and you know what I'm saying, and just get something out. You know what I'm saying? Get the things out that I've been kind of harboring on. And I think I'm exhausted in a sense, but at the same time, I tried to use this time to prune, man. Like, some things that I may have been doing, I don't really do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I realize I don't really need it. Or, some people kind of, what I'm saying, wither away. Relationships just wither away and
Yeah.
and die some, and or just stay silent sometimes. But it's just, I think it's a defining moment. You know what I'm saying? I'm exhausted, but I'm finding a way to push through it. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I think that's it for me.
Yeah. I think one thing I've noticed is it seems like it was like a mass white realization of our reality recently. And it's like, I don't take offense to it, but and I've heard other people say this, so it's not like my original idea, but it's like, it's not our responsibility to, bring y'all up to
Inform.
speed,
Yeah. Right.
to bring y'all up to speed, on something that we've been yelling and screaming and, trying to get y'all to understand for the last 400 years. Um, but I'll let it go back to Gerard, and we'll
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
cipher
man. We
through.
definitely
Yeah.
so yeah. So thank you, Andrew, for sharing that, man. Let's move on to the next one, man. I think one of the most profound the words that you used that really kind of hit me was exhausted, and so I think we all can identify with that in some way, shape, or form. So Rich, man, if you mind us going to you next, man. Based on what you're hearing and what you've been seeing, man, how you've been managing and coping with everything.
Yeah, man. Similar to me, similar to Andrew. I mean, I've been pretty exhausted here lately. I mean, I'm in school, I work full time, I'm married, I have two daughters. So I wear a lot of hats. And so with everything that's been going on, just mentally, emotionally, physically, just been tired. So to kind of combat that, like, as a mental health counselor in training, self-care is important. So I've been like trying to run, I'll ride my bike. But honestly, to kind of piggyback off of some of the things I've already been saying, it's like, this whole white realization. So I've had coworkers text me, email me, call. I've had classmates do the same. And so I think with the way my personality is, like, I tend to always want to help. So while I know it's not my responsibility to teach them, like, I almost feel like I need to. So I've had to kind of check myself there, because it is mentally exhausting,
Yeah.
and to always feel like that you're on, right, to help people and to try to be this like teacher during this time right now is a whole lot. So I've even had to kind of shift myself away from social media, like kind of limit my time on there, like not completely go off of there, but like just kind of limit my time, because even being on there is just really exhausting. It's
Oh
almost
man.
worse than the news. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
just people going back and forth, people you went to school with, like friends, family, everybody's just kind of like in their emotions right now. So, just really trying to take some time to take care of my mental So again, taking some time away from social media, trying to spend time with my family, my wife, my kids. Get outside. I like being outside. So like, again, riding my bike, running, anything that can kind of help me relieve some of the stress that, I've been dealing with, and not just me, but like everybody at this point with COVID and then just all of the racism stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Just really trying to be intentional about my self-care, my mental health, spiritual health as well. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's dope. And so on already, we know we're probably going to dive into this, just the whole idea of having, what do you say, dealing with white realization, if I said it right.
Yeah.
And before I go to Eric, go to you, and just throwing this nugget out there, like it was, I watched the Oprah special, and I can't think of the name of the actor and director, but he was speaking of how he has been having to help his white friends deal with their struggles with what they're now realizing or now have seen that we've always seen. It's like, hold up, so I got to help you deal with what has always been affecting me. I have to help you. So it was just weird. He was like, yeah, it doesn't make sense, but clearly that's something that has touched. Andrew touched your life. Rich touched your life, and we're having to deal with. But yeah, man, Eric, man, take us deeper, man, just into your world, and how you've been managing and coping, and also, Eric, please make sure I know you're going to do it. Mention the things that you have going on as well, as far as that you've already been working on regarding Black men and their mental health and all that good stuff. So we need to know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. So thank you first for just having me on. I appreciate it. And it feels like a real blessing to be able to just share space and be with, other Black men. I think it's an important part of, historically, I think it's an important part of how we have been able to make it as far as we have in this country. And I think it's important that we keep some of these traditions alive. I think, as far as communities of color, and specifically in Black communities, we give a tremendous amount of importance to community, but we live in a world, we live in a country that believes it's about this notion of rugged individualism, and so it's a constant struggle against that, because all the messages that we receive from everywhere suggest that we need to be out here doing it on our own, and it's just not true, and it hasn't ever been historically true for us. So I'm just delighted to see this kind of thing happening, which is why I was happy to be here, even on a Friday at 7 o'clock.
All y'all, this is what they selected. Most of them over there.
No, it's all good. It's all no. I recognize people have responsibilities. Like I said, I'm happy to be here. But so to answer the question, it changes. It changes like minute to minute. There's some days, some times, I wake up in the morning and I feel like $1 million because I've been taking care of myself in a way that's different from, regular day-to-day life. I've had much more time to process, to be by myself, to pay attention to what I'm eating and how I'm taking care of myself. And so all of those things have been fantastic, and things that I want to continue to take with me even after we get beyond COVID specifically. But frankly, I don't think we're going to be through the woods as far as racism in America is concerned for at least another 2 or 3 generations. I mean, I think maybe our kids, grandkids might, if things continue at this pace, might. But I'm also right. Like, but I'm also not 100% confident that it's going to be that. But we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic. but the truth of the matter is, my sort of mood, my feelings, my physical, my body, literally sometimes from hour to hour shifts. And a lot of that is based on things that have already been said here. So, I might jump on social media for a second and I see some beautiful things happening, and then, I hear a comment or I see a news report or, and I'm just like, so really doing my best to avoid that kind of stuff and not really be on social media. The thing is, I'm also becoming aware of how much of just a straight habit it is. Like, I pick up my phone and before I even know it, I've been on for 15, 20 minutes.
The endless scroll, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, for real. And it's like, yeah, man. So I have to continually catch myself and be real intentional about doing that. So I'll give you another example. The other day, I was washing dishes, listening to music. The Roots album came on. I don't remember which one it was, but the song was Doing It Again. I don't know what it is about that song, but that song gets me every single time. And I'm standing at the sink washing dishes in tears, man. In tears, just shedding and releasing that pain and stress that, like, and my wife Maza came out and she heard me. And she came out and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I mean, as okay as I can be. And that's the best answer I have. Like, on one side, I feel fortunate that I've done the work on myself, that I felt like I was okay with letting the tears out. But on the other side of the coin, like, dude, I was washing dishes, right? Like I was, and it's just that accumulation of shit that each one of us has to navigate through on a day-to-day basis. And it's got to have a place to come out. We can't carry it, because then it really does start to affect our physical, like legit, and this is part of the reason why you see these kind of crazy health disparities, and some of these other things that are, a direct consequence of trauma that we walk through on a day-to-day basis. So that's a complicated question, and one that I have taken to actually not answering much when people ask me, how are you doing? Because one, most people that ask that question aren't really interested in the answer.
True.
That's one. And two, it's more complicated than what I can give you in a soundbite.
I'm so sorry, Brandon.
Yeah.
Eric, but also too, not only do most people ask you just because that's just what we do, but most of the time we give the answer, "Oh, I'm good." That's the first, like, we say I'm good, and we never really go. We never really say, "I'm not good."
And when you say that,
mad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
And when you say that I'm good, to me, it's like a dig. Like you're like scooping out a piece of like your soul. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm just like front. I'm putting on the front. Because we've been tiptoeing around Whitey for all these generations. You know what I'm saying? And
I'm actually not good. No,
I'm not good.
I'm not good. No, right. Yeah. But also, it's not really acceptable for me to be on the streets and be angry. Yep. Right? Like, I can't do that either. Right? So there it is. Right? So, like, that's that tension that I think many of us live with on a day-to-day basis, whether we're cognizant of that or not. That's where we are. So you had mentioned, Gerard, you had mentioned the men's group. So I'll just say it quickly. I'll give you a very, very brief history. I'm in a lot of these kinds of circles. I'm a coach. I do leadership development. I'm a healer. I'm an intuitive healer. I do all that kind of stuff. And so I find myself in a lot of these circles. And the thing that sort of started to be clear to me is I'm typically the only one. I'm typically one of the only black faces at all. And if there are other black faces, they're women. And so I left one particular circle and I was like, man, this one particular circle happened to have an older black guy in. And man, every time that dude opened his mouth, it was like a piece of magic just like blew the back of my head out. It was just like, this is amazing what this dude is saying. And it occurred to me that like, I don't really get to be in a lot of these kind of spaces where there's a bunch of other Black men just talking about, you know, like real like feelings and like, you know, where we are in our heads and our souls and our spirits and that kind of stuff. I'm not somebody who goes to church. I'm not that person per se. So I don't get it there. I don't get fellowship. As you can see, I cut my own hair, so I ain't at the barber shop. So like I really have no outlet for this. And I was like, well, if I don't have it, I'm gonna go make it. Right. Mm-hmm. Again, speaking to the entrepreneurial spirit that I'm sure every single one on this call has, because that's who we are. But so anyway, so you know, long and story short, I was able to bring together a group of men. We meet every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 11:30, just like this, right on Zoom, and we're engaged in legit healing practices, man. We out here meditating together. Yeah. We do qigong. Yeah. We have wisdom sharing. We call the ancestors at the top of the call. And that's really what the space is for this kind of conversation. And y'all are all welcome. It's no cost. You just go, you know, I'll drop the link in the chat so you can check it out. And maybe when this goes out to the world, you know, share the link there too. But that's really, you know, it's one of the first things in a long time for me that felt all the way right. Like I'm in the right place. I'm doing the right thing. This feels good. Yeah, man. So like, you know, that's where I am. Oh, the name of the group is called the Black Obsidian Men's Group. And I chose that name because Black Obsidian is a rock formed by rapidly cooling lava, and it's got properties of like clearing and healing, and it's supposed to be sort of like cleansing for you know, for your spirit if you subscribe to that kind of thing. I just thought it was a nice metaphor for the kind of work that we're doing, and also it's a beautiful stone. I'll show you. Right now it's a black, so I wear a black obsidian. It's got a little tree on it, but you know, the stone in here is a beautiful. It looks like a piece of onyx. It's one interesting property, and I'll leave it here to leave space for the other brothers to get in here. But one interesting property about black obsidian is that it is one of the very few substances that can be sliced down to 1 atom thick. It's actually the sharpest substance, one of the sharpest substances on the planet. But also for how sharp it is, it's also quite fragile. And I think that is my apologies if you hear the cat. The cat's having a hard time right now for whatever reason. But anyway, that's so that's black obsidian. That's what it is. That's what I'm up to. That's where I'm at. Yeah, thank you for listening.
Oh, that's what's up, man. I appreciate the I mean, that was gold what you said. So appreciate you sharing. I'm gonna shift it to, well, I heard you mention the moment, and I would imagine all of us had our own version of the moment when all of these emotions, you know, good, bad, ugly, somehow manifest themselves. And maybe sometimes it's not so good. Sometimes maybe it's a great way. For me personally, I found myself, this was probably 2-3 weeks ago. I found myself, I didn't even realize it until I was about to get into bed. It was night, boys were asleep. I was getting into bed, and all of a sudden I realized I was like mad all day. Didn't realize it until that very moment. I was irritable all day, but I didn't know why. So I finally about to get into bed, and all of a sudden, like, it all hit me. Just like when Eric mentioned he was watching, I was just trying to go to bed, and all these emotions came out of nowhere. And when I told you I cried like a baby, dude, like, like, I'm kind of embarrassed to say it, but at the same time, like, this is a place to normalize this. So it was a whirlwind, and I started thinking about, you know, life after death, like not crazy stuff, because we all should think about this, but like how my kids will be affected if something happened to me. It was a surreal moment, to be honest with you. But what made it okay was having a safe space, with my partner, my wife. So for me, having somebody to talk to, had that deep conversation with, it really, really helped me get through that moment. And that's what led me to the Black Obsidian Men's Group. And it really, I would recommend it to anybody. But I want to pass it off to Massetti. We've had a couple small conversations. I know you talked to Gerard and Drew, and probably some of your other boys. But talking about, I've heard the term exhaustion, or being exhausted, and Rich mentioned basically feeling the need or being obligated to teach somebody or tell them about this plight that we have, right?
So white people.
Right, white people. But on the flip side, on the flip side, the exhaustion also comes from the people that we are fighting, the ideology that we're fighting, right? So I know, Massetti, you specifically, I mean, you texted me a couple times like, bro, I can't take it. These people we went to school with, et cetera, et cetera. I want you to just kind of, unpack what you've been going through.
Oh man. First of all, I want to say thank you, fellas, for even thanking me for this. Secondly, I would just like to say, man, I don't even know where to begin. Yeah. And excuse my language, and Gerard, Brandon, Drew, they know it's sometimes a few things do come out that
be you say your truth.
But I'm just tired, man. I'm fucking tired. I'm angry. I'm every emotion that you can think about right now. And it's scary. Once I get into that mindset and that emotion where I'm just angry and because it's to a point where I'm saying to myself, like, how is it that you don't get what I'm saying? Yeah. And Andrew, I've been following a lot of your, I love waking up in the morning. One of my highs in the morning. I remember told you this, Drew. Waking up in the morning, just seeing how vocal you are during this time, man. I wake up and just see your social media, and it's beautiful. How you're being very vocal, how you're not letting this die down, and how you're staying very strong to who you are as an individual. And that's not to say that anybody else isn't. It's just saying, like, that's one of the things I do wake up and enjoy, and it makes me proud, to see that from you. But to touch back onto what Brandon was saying, man, it has been conversations where, on the flip side of it, after I see that positivity from Drew, like, man, I'm proud. He's putting out what needs to be said. Somebody that is not of our pigmentation is reading this, and they can't take nothing but positivity from this. Then I get on social media, a different platform. I get on, Facebook, and and I can see somebody, just flipping exactly what I'm so proud of. Yep. So they flipping it to make it seem as though what I'm so proud to be a part, to say, to express in better words. They using my thoughts and put it in words that can be articulated in a better fashion, and they're flipping for their benefit, and it frustrates me. So a couple of times, I stayed quiet. I observed from a distance. I saw Brandon take it, and I was proud of Brandon and how he handled it. With individuals that, that were white, they were white individuals that, was trying to flip this situation. Looting and rioting, to be more specific, how they would take that and flip it about, well, why are you looting? Why are you rioting? That shouldn't be done. Yeah. Brandon handled the situation so diligently, and I was proud of him for that. So I just observed from a distance. I didn't say anything. I didn't comment, and I ended up texting Brandon, and he was just sharing, like, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated. Then it just came to a point where, you know, the more I observed, the angrier I got. And I didn't say anything for days, for you know, the couple weeks. I didn't say anything. Then it just got to a point where that anger and frustration just really boiled out, and I just had to be me in that moment. Just like, hey, yo, just shut up, point blank period. Just shut up, because you're not getting it. You're not getting it. So I hated to take it there. I really didn't, because, you know, social media, I do have a lot going on. You know, I try to uphold the most professionalism, you know, positivity on all my social media platforms. I don't engage in that type of negativity. No, 9 times out of 10, I keep scrolling. I just keep scrolling. I see it, I put it in the back of my mind, and I put on that mask that we put on when we walk into work. That's the mask that I put on social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we have a whole nother episode about code switching. But yeah.
Right. So
Talk about that for
when I
days.
see that, I just keep it to myself. But but from the depths of my brothers and sisters to, you know, switching the narrative to make it seem like an individual that was innocently killed is now a demonizing individual, to switching, you know, when someone deserved this. Well, why are you burning this down? It all boils down to we have to get your attention some way, shape, or form. And this is the only way we know how to get your attention. So why is it that once we get your attention, you're still changing the narrative of why we are doing the way we're doing? Isn't it clear to you and to everyone else why we're so angry? Why should it come to this? We've been saying the same exact thing over and over and over, and you're still making it about a flag. You're still making it about looting. You're still making it about rioting. It is not about that. This just the way for us to get your attention, to talk about the reasons why we're doing this. So why is it that my white friends that I grew up with, who can laugh in my face, they can see me out in public and to do all these other things and act like it's love whenever they see me, why is it now that you're behind a keyboard or on your phone, it's something completely different? So that's where my anger has been coming from. And Brandon, those messages that we've had back and forth, man, is really that's what it stems from. Yeah. That's what it really stems from, man. And so my anger it boils deep, man, and it gets scary, man. It really gets scary because it, you know, if you see I am I'm an aggressive individual. The way I talk, but I'm also, I love to learn. But when it comes to, you know, suppression, and when it comes to racism, you know, that anger comes out in many different forms.
When it comes to my life, all that rioting and looting and, you know, kneeling for a flag that you say we're disrespect, like all that goes out the door when my life is at stake.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what so many don't understand is we're literally pleading for our lives. Like the particular post that you were referencing, I'm not going to mention the guy's name.
Yeah.
But all I was trying to do is say, hey, I understand that you don't agree with this. Cool. But literally we are being killed in the street and nobody is being held accountable.
No accountability.
That's my, you know, for me personally, that's what I was trying to convey. And he, you know, this person still just didn't get it. Now, granted, he did delete the post because I called him out, you know, in a respectful way. He deleted the post because he felt convicted. And he's like, all right, let me take this down.
Yeah. And the same thing about the post in which I commented on, where I just had look it down. And I feel like I don't get that. That's what I don't understand. If you feel so strongly about it, why go back and delete it? Yeah. If you feel so, if I feel strongly about something, that means that if you delete it in the back, that means that you get it. Yeah. That means that you understand. You just choosing not to.
Choosing the easy way out.
To live in your same ignorance.
Yep.
So that's ultimately what it is, man. It's willful. It's just willful ignorance, and it's easy. It's like literally the very definition of privilege.
Yeah,
because absolutely. I can just afford to look away. And it's cool. and it's cool. And then, you know, like these are all the tools of white supremacy, is that they want to sort of distract, and they want to say, well, you know, why are you burning things, and why are you doing this, and why are you doing that? And it's like, well, why are you killing me?
Yeah.
Like, I will never, I will never give a damn about no merchandise at Target, or no broken windows, or no burning buildings as it relates to human life. You're never ever going to get me to win. Like, you're never going to win that argument with me. Not ever, not once. And until you see that, we're gonna be out here flipping cars and breaking windows and doing whatever needs to be done. I don't advocate violence. Yeah. I don't want anybody to get hurt, but I also don't want to die.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, on the flip side of it, I will commend, I will big up, and you know, not everyone that is not of African American descent, that is not Black, is bad. I've had several white friends be very vocal.
Oh yeah.
Be very supportive, and it's not the matter of that they come to me and say, I understand. They're admitting that they don't understand.
Yeah, you don't have to understand.
They're standing. They're vocal. They're preaching. They're willing to learn. What is it that I can do? How can I help? I know I've been privileged, and I'm sorry for everything that prior to this that I don't understand, that I didn't realize, that how different our lives are, how different our worlds are. But I'm here right now standing to give acknowledgement that I'm willing to at least put a foot forward for change. To those individuals, I say thank you, and continue doing the things that they're doing, because that means more to me than anything that you can ever purchase, anything that you can ever, you know, buy, any materialistic. That right there said. And for them, I just say continue to do it. Don't let this just be, you know, something for right now. Right. But really continue to advocate to yourself, to your peers, to your future kids, if they already have kids, to those kids, you know, so their kids, so that generational change can begin to happen. And then that's how, you know, when I think it was Eric that said that it wouldn't happen with us. It'll happen for, you know, 2 generations. That's how that changed. I'm okay to take this sacrifice right now in my lifetime. But as long as my kids and my kids' kids can benefit from what we're doing right now and what they're doing and speaking on, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's dope, bro.
Amen.
Amen. And let me just reiterate again, man. Again, this platform is for you to be, as my wife and I, we say naked, and by naked we mean authentic. So if it means your language is harsh, then you got to get it out. And I'm gonna take time to reference this. There's Psalm 6, I believe it's Psalm 6. It's 6 verses. No, Psalm 13 is 6 verses. And the Bible, the book of Psalm is 6 is Psalm 13, 6 verses. 4 of the verses, the first 4 of the verses, the psalmist is literally just complaining and sharing how he feels about his life. And it's not until he gets done with those 4 verses that he turns the corner and begins to speak in a more positive light as to what he feels God can do for him. I say all that to say, sometimes before you can get to the place where you just begin to truly see the light and see hope, or speak life and speak hope, you got to get that mess off you. If that means anything, get it off you. And so sometimes you just have to get it off and get it off you. So don't let like Reverend Barber said on the Oprah special, he said, I slept with my son and I cussed with my son. My point is
those who weep, right?
Sometimes, sometimes you have to get it off you. And you have to share what you have to share, the way you have to get it off. I'm gonna leave it just like that. So feel comfortable to be authentic, feel comfortable to be truly vulnerable and naked with your words and your feelings. That's the whole purpose of this. I would highlight this before I transition to my man Lewis. I want to thank you, Massetti, for those the example of positive affirmation from black male to black male that you gave to Andrew. I thought that was very important, and it's something that we need to do for each other, but also something that we'll probably talk about in the future. I just think that's very it was very important that you did that. I watched him and saw, not that I saw him light up, but I could see that it was well received. And I'm like, wow, that's dope. Like, we need to do more of that, of affirming one another. I think earlier Eric mentioned something about just coming together, in the unity, what was it? Sharing space and being with other Black men. That that this is a perfect in that carrying out of that. I wanted to do a Zoom. I shared with my board. This is what I wanted, brothers. This is what we wanted to do, and it was just as I said, the perfect storm for Brandon to get some things back going with the Gentleman's Guide podcast. So I just, again, why I'm gonna do my own thing when we can do this thing together. That's the
Exactly.
point. We can do it together. That's the whole idea. If we can't come together to do a Zoom and do a podcast, then can we? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It don't make sense. Y'all get where I'm going with that.
Yep.
I say all that now to bring us to my man Lewis. He's a coworker of mine, and I don't know exactly. I know what the nature of work that we do, and we work with predominantly young African American men. I know when we are at work, we are at work. We are essentially pretty much closed off from all of society. And so, as you guys talked about social media, one of the hardest things I know I've had with dealing with work as an essential employee, because we've been going to work throughout the pandemic, going to work and then coming home, being away 8, 9, 10 hours, and then coming home is almost like if I literally spent the next 8 hours trying to catch up on the 8 hours of social media or news that I missed. I would miss out on being the father and the husband, the friend that I need to be to those in my home. And so it's quite difficult to manage that. But I wanted to know, Lewis, from your trajectory, man, your perspective, man, how have you been managing, man, and coping with all that's been going on?
Oh, honestly, man, it's all about just being spiritual, man. Like with me overall, because like I say, this got me closer to God through it all, man, because it's real and it happens every day. You know what I'm saying? We see it through the kids we deal with. But my main focus with me is becoming the best man I could be. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't help nobody else do nothing if I ain't who I need to be. So that's my main focus. And behind everything else, I've been focusing on me. And outside of that is like, of course, my father, I'm a mentor, uncle, and all that, and going to school and working and all that. So I just been trying to get the kids and just had them on the same page on what it's about being a Black man in America. And for one, in Tarboro, like I grew up in Tarboro, been all my life, and of course I've been seeing racism all my life too, but it ain't been this bad. It been more so me. I played baseball, and here, y'all know as well as I do. Growing up, baseball is a white man's sport, but I've been doing that for so long, so it's just like that's why I felt my comfort zone. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm comfort around. Of course, I can be in the hood and be comfort too, but it's like that ain't what I really want to be. You know what I'm saying? I got dreams to be bigger and past all this. So it was like I'm around all these white people, and it's like some of them. I mean, God put me in the right position to be around the right ones, because some of them was like brothers to me, honestly. Like the brother was saying a while ago, some of them are reaching out and doing this and that. But it's certain ones too that's like they put on their mask when they leave around you, and all throughout school they just been like you having good conversation, talking. I mean, it's crazy, man. But now you see them on social media, it's just like this can't be the same guy I went to school with. You know what I'm saying? That's when that's where my anger come in at. You know what I'm saying? But overall, back to the question, how are me as me? I can say I'm good and I'm growing and learning to be great during this time, because I know I have to be great to be successful and to live. You know what I'm saying? I can't just be angry and that mad Black man out there looting and rioting just because this is going on. Because like I say, God is in control of it all. So you got to have your faith and you got to keep it. So that's what's been keeping me close, man. Then, like I say, going to work and dealing with the kids we deal with, man. I don't know if y'all guys experience it, but it's crazy, man. It's like they're lost, man. Like it's literally finding a needle in a haystack, finding one kid that you can say that's gonna be successful, and it hurts. You know what I'm saying? Like certain stuff that bring. I ain't gonna say I was just, like it hurt. It hurts. It's hurtful, man. It's very hurtful. It's like y'all the next generation. The only thing y'all want to do is be like the next rapper or be the next gangbanger, next drug dealers. Like that's all y'all see. I understand that, but when you got guys like us coming in, you real as it come and breaking it down to you, y'all got to be able to understand where we coming from. Y'all don't want to, and that goes to back to the white people. They don't want to see or want to feel what we going through, but they just put that mask on. You know what I'm saying? They hide behind that, and you know what I'm saying, not even look our way for help or want to help us. They just gonna be who they grown up to be or who the people they seen around them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's crazy, man. But like I say, and in Tarboro, like my thing is I destined to help much Black people as possible, man, because we got a lot of Black on Black crime going on. So we can put this white stuff. I mean, we can preach that all day, but it hurts more when you got black on black crime. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we need to be not riding, but we need to be marching for and coming together for. So that's my biggest thing. Like I try to help I got a daughter, and I just help her like understand, try to be the black man in her life that she need to see and need to, you know what I'm saying, see grow, and who I want her to have a man like me in her life eventually, you know, instead of finding that kid, I'm like, oh, I hope you don't ever meet my daughter. You know what I'm saying? So I just trying to be the you know what I'm saying? I just try to be the best man, because it's easy.
Yes,
It's easy to become that guy that, you know, so you can just be angry, and an angry black man is, I mean, somebody's in a world of trouble. You know what I mean? An angry black man can do some damage. You know what I'm saying? That's what they use. The white people use that to try to label all of us as. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when they get opportunity to take us out, they do it. You know what I'm saying? We can be some of the greatest guys. You know what I'm saying? They killed a lot of great people. You know what I'm saying? So, and I try to think, like, not put myself in that situation. Like, if the cops stop me, and I try to think what's the right thing to do at all time. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if it do come down to that, because a lot of times black people, like, they act out. You know what I'm saying? So the white people use that to like, oh yeah, he acting out. I gotta shoot him. You know what I'm saying? I gotta do this to him. So I try not to be so angry as much every time I come in contact with one, but, you know, try to talk to them and see what their point of view on things. But sometimes it don't go, and I don't like to argue. I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you, because you got it, you know, and go on about my business. But not trying to get on top of anything. But as the question stated, how am I, or how are we? Like I said, I think I'm pretty good for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like this Zoom, I'm definitely great now, because I'm getting a lot of, you know, positive energy. You know what I'm saying? I don't be around this much positive energy, let's say, in a month's time. You know what I'm saying? Because like I'm out there in the world. You know what I'm saying? And y'all know how the worldly things are. So I'm just trying to stay focused, man. And like I said, get my family and the ones around me that I love to like come together, and we all just get an understanding on like what's the right thing to do all the time, because you have to do the right thing all the time. You know what I'm saying? Not so, I mean, we can talk spiritual all day. God's always watching, but it's always, we got kids that's watching, you know what I'm saying? And it's easy for someone to just throw your name in the mud, you know what I'm saying? And there you go. And I always say, like, when I'm away from my daughter, and I know people gonna talk, you know what I'm saying? I was like, at least say something good about me, you know what I'm saying? Don't tell her nothing bad, you know what I mean? Because I can also come back and tell her, like, look, baby, this is what happened and this is what's going on. But, you know what I'm saying, help us out, you know what I'm saying? Don't just downplay us every time, every chance we get, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like building up the black youth, man. That's another thing that's like I'm trying to do, man. Like I've been mentoring for like, I don't know, almost 10 years now. Even when I was in college, you know, I graduated 2011, so almost 10 years now. And it's like, that's my main focus, man, because they're the next generation that's coming up, and they have to be prepared for what's going on. We're not prepared, but we're like the generation where we're mostly good, but where the bad ones at, they're very bad. You know what I'm saying? Not to talk about nobody, but it's like we're in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Like our grandparents or whatever, they instilled this in us. You know what I'm saying? How they overcame, but some of us got it, and majority of us didn't. You know what I'm saying? Because like I can talk about that like for hours, but I'm not going too much about it because Tarboro, predominantly black. I mean, you know, but white owned, but it's predominantly black. Stay here, or you know, and it's like
Some city got
it's
family out
like
there, right?
I can pick up kids, man, like after school, for instance. You know what I'm saying? Quick conversation. I pick up kids after school, have after school program. The best kids in the world, they're around me, but soon as I let them go or take them home, it's like they going to where they like all the negativity at. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm talking to y'all parents, like y'all can't have this around y'all kid, or y'all let them go right to the block. And the guys I went to school with doing this with them, doing that with them, telling them to do this. I'm like, come on, man. But y'all tell me y'all proud of me for doing what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like we all got to come together, man. Like that's my main focus, man. We'll never be where we need to be if we don't come together. And I know it's probably hard and it seems impossible now, but I mean, if our pastor always told me it's 5 good men left, you know what I'm saying? If we can be that 5 that stick together, you know what I'm saying? Strength is in numbers, you know what I'm saying? We can pour this, pour that, and we can get it done, man. You know what I'm saying? We just got to stick together and stand by each other, man, and just not try to fall by the wayside. And we got to push it. We got to go all the way 100%. We can't have step because we got the, like, not the, I mean, you know, keep talking about the white man, but you got the white man down there, even some black men, you know what I'm saying, taking us down. So the strong brothers we got left, we got to stick together, man. And to the social media part, you know, like the brother was saying, like, I can sit back on social media, like I can say it's good and bad because, like, I'm not gonna argue with you, but I'm like, why put that on social media? Why I had to see that? You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna befriend you, but I'm gonna unfollow you. You know what I'm saying? For my sanity, you know what I'm saying? Because I like, you can't sit there and keep seeing all this negativity, and it's like you can't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, nah, I ain't got time for that, brother. Like, you gotta get yourself together, because like I said, I post a lot of positive stuff on my social media too. So I don't want to unfriend you because I want you to see what I'm posting, but I don't want to see what you posting. That I don't want to sound selfish or nothing, but like all that negativity, that ain't good for me. So like I said, I'm gonna protect me, and that's something I have to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much it with me, man. Like, we just coming together, and of course, stopping the black on black crime. That's a major key too that a lot of people miss out on, and they'll try to, like, our own kind of cover that up to try to go against what the other man is doing. You know what I'm saying? Well, that ain't right, but we have to.
I want to interject just for a moment, because of what I hear you saying, and is that as much as we need to hold other people accountable, or white folks accountable for what they are doing to us, we also need to hold ourselves as a people accountable for what we may be doing to ourselves. If that means anything. And I know the focus, obviously, and that's the whole other kind of, I know that's like, this was also the issue with even having one Zoom, is that when you start to even have a remotely in a small portion of conversation about either what we're seeing, what's been going on all these different years, it just goes into something else and goes into something else and goes into something else, because there's so many different complexities to the things that have been the system, or the things that have been plaguing our community. Literally, it's a system. It's a system. And so you start talking about one part, and then you be over here on this part, but it happens. It's hard. It's literally hard to just streamline it. But I definitely agree with you with that, that we have to not only, like I said, call out others, but also challenge ourselves and challenge ourselves to a higher level of treating ourselves and treating our women and treating our children. And so that's part of why we're here today. If we can be that 5, you know what I'm saying? If nothing else, we're that 5, if that means anything. We can change the world.
Can I jump in and just say a quick thing? I apologize, Shetty, but I just want to address this, because I think it's important, and I don't. I agree fundamentally with what's being said. I think it is important that that we hold ourselves to a standard. I certainly have a standard that I want to keep, and part of that is expressing love in the world. Like that's part of the reason why I feel like I'm here. But there's also this important piece, and like, when I hear the term black on black crime, for me, it's difficult for me to be with that, because the reality is that people commit crimes against or whose victims where they are, who they're closest to. So you notice how you never hear white on white crime, but most crime. That's just what it is. You commit crimes where the victims are people who you're close to, and because we have this level of segregation, you've got crimes that happen in a white community are perpetrated by white people, but you never hear white on white crime. So this is again, it's another tool of white supremacy to have it seem like there is somehow something dysfunctional about Black people, and that is just false. And so I want to lift that up, because I really, it feels really important to me, especially in a space like this, that we do our best to sort of seek truth, and that we can be with each other in love. And so I just couldn't sit and like hear that and just know that that's actually just another way in which we get portrayed in a light because it serves a particular kind of narrative, and that narrative is that we are somehow less than or dysfunctional. And really, look, there's no question about the fact that trauma has had a deep and lasting impact in our community. And that's why we see a lot of drug use. That's why we see a lot of the challenges that we do see. But that's because it's unaddressed trauma from years and years and years of brutality.
Generations,
you know what I'm saying? So like I
Pass
just want to right, and I just wanted to insert that into the conversation because we are not dysfunctional. We are not less than.
We are not inherently dangerous.
No,
No, we're not.
no. And
At all.
this idea of black on black crime continues that notion, and it's just wrong. It's just wrong. Look at any statistics, any of the numbers will tell you that this is how it works. Now, you know, are there black people gunning people down in Chicago? Yeah, for sure. And do we need to do something about that? Absolutely. But there's black on black crime is a made up thing, just like ultimately race. I mean, it's real because we suffer the real effects from it, but there's no biological race. Like there's no difference from one person to another. It's just not real. It's a construct that was made up so that people could justify the subjugation of another kind of people. Period. Right? But we don't talk about that. And when you say that, people are like, "What?"
I want to touch on what you just said just now. I cannot forget. I forget the lady's name. That was just with Jada Pickett Smith, the white doctor, the psychologist doctor. She said that there's only one race.
So Jane Elliott.
What was her name?
Jane Elliott.
Yep, that's her.
Okay.
Yep. There's only one race. That's a human race. That every of course we all knew this, but you know everybody originally came from the African American descent. We all know that. African descent. Yeah. I apologize. Yeah, I stayed for African descent. And we everyone originally. So we are in fact long distance cousins. Everyone. And that essentially is just one race, the human race, and that race was actually put into place because of religion. I don't know if you heard that, Brandon, what she was trying to break it down, that they couldn't tell how everyone looked alike, looked the same, and they couldn't tell who was who, because so they decided to start telling them apart based upon their religion. And that's how race was actually implemented. And then later down the lines, different pigmentation was, came along, but it all originated from the African descent.
Facts.
So facts, yeah, that's fact. Jesus was black.
Absolutely.
Amen, brother.
I'm just gonna leave that.
Amen.
But I think what we've seen in this dialogue is, again, the ability to be truly authentic, the ability to challenge one another's thinking. But when I say challenge, bring one another up and to evolve and to grow. And so it takes all of us. It takes all of us, all of our perspectives, all of our education and things we're constantly growing in. And out of every day. And I want to point out, there's a few things I know we'll probably touch on. Me and Brandon are going to probably reconvene, but Eric talked about trauma. There's some interesting statistics around trauma. And let me just say, if you actually take time, and I was at work, and you watch that video, that is a traumatic experience in itself of George Floyd. Let me be specific. Okay.
I have not watched it.
I have not. I was at work.
I haven't watched it.
I'm gonna just say I was at work, and it was almost as if I had an out-of-body experience, and literally simultaneously as his life concluded. I'll say it like that.
Yeah.
I could literally feel like I do not seek to be funny, but I literally just took a breath. It was like the breath in the air was sucked out of me. Literally, I watched it. And again, going back to just how interesting and busy my life is, I had heard about it, but I had not really taken too much of it because I hadn't had time to really hear about it, if that means anything. So you listen to the news with so much going on in your house, cooking dinner, doing this, white pregnant, 3 little ones, 3 under 3. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, like.
Oof.
And so you
Hold
hear it.
hold on.
Hold
Hold on. Breaking news.
That's not what we focus on right now.
Breaking news.
I know. My damn. I'm sorry you had to find out over the
Hey, look.
zone.
This
I'm
just
sorry,
in.
Eric. I'm sorry,
Hold on.
Eric. You had to find out.
This
over the
just
zone.
in.
Hold on,
We
hold on.
have an
I'm
announcement
not
on the Gentleman's Guide
I'm
podcast.
sorry, but said
It breaks
and
today.
Rich,
Look, we're not
and-
gonna let
and
this
Eric-
breeze past like we didn't just
We
hear what
ain't
you
just
just
say
said.
that.
We got. Hold on. We're gonna take a second. Let it sink
let
in.
me say it again. Let me say it again slowly. So, Rich,
Rich, you hear
let
it?
me finish. Eric, Emma said it. You're the only 3 that had known, that don't know. That now you know. I'm sorry you had to find out over Zoom. I said it. I know you're gonna hold it to me forever. You are my big brother, and I'm sorry I had not called you yet. But
Massetti probably called you the other day.
I just talked to him.
Hey, look, hey.
Hold up. Let me. Can I tell my
on,
truth now?
Pastor.
I'll give y'all look. Now you know I like to talk, and I'll let y'all talk today.
Right, Pastor.
He just passed
And
over
so
like he didn't say what he just
let me
said.
apologize. You know, you just move on like it. Just keep moving. But yes, that's where we are right now. So my point is, I had heard it, and literally, and I don't seek to make excuses, but I've heard it, but I hadn't like really heard it. You know what I'm saying? And then not to mention, you know, let's just keep it 100. It's a whole other conversation for another day. When you hear these things, it's very easy for you because we've heard it so much, and that for us to be kind of numb, like, oh yeah,
Right.
like,
That's
and I know you might say, well, how can you be black? Well, doggone it, we keep hearing it all the time.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's like
Look,
it doesn't seem like anything new. Now
Keep it-
I am excited and I am glad that. And we won't get into it today. We're going to have to do another podcast, and we need to discuss what I'm about to mention.
That's the beauty about all these.
That's the beauty of it. As I said,
Yep.
but I am excited for those and grateful for those who are able to do what I wish I could do, what I wish I could do, and that is literally go out, protest. I believe I believe I have gifts and talents, and I believe I speak eloquently. I believe I want to organize and partner with different people and grow and learn and use this opportunity not only to speak truth to power and speak on the injustices of the world, but also to learn more about what it means to be a community organizer, so that as not just when the next thing happens, but just in general, to be more on the lines of the preventative maintenance. You know what I'm saying? There are things that we can do in voting, and I can't get into it because it just. But there are things I want.
No,
to
but
do.
you're getting into it, so keep going.
So there are things I want to do that my life setup is not designed for me to do in this season of my life. And so I found myself feeling guilty. I found myself feeling like I'm not doing my part. I found myself literally, and ultimately the resolve is I'm gonna do what I can do, which is a Zoom and do what I can do with where I'm at and make my voice heard. And we can talk about that, but that is going to be the next conversation, Brandon. Brandon, I hope you agree with that. I hate to do it on a platform like that, but I know that needs to be the next conversation. I had mentioned it to Rich. I had mentioned it even to Andrew. And the word for me, as we kind of bring this to a close, was infrastructure. And I'll just say that it was infrastructure. And everybody's home life or their home, their infrastructure of their home is different. And based on how how strong it is, where it's strong, whatever, it determines what you can and cannot hold up.
Right.
And the worst thing you can do is try to hold something that your infrastructure isn't designed to hold, because then it leads to a breakdown. I hope that metaphor that it makes sense. And so, I know Eric's like, yo, I gotta go.
I'm trying to get it.
I know, man.
I do want to say just a little piece, man, and it's exactly it's speaking to what you're saying, and because I think this feeling is not unique to you. I think a lot of people feel this way, and the reality of the situation is, look, the revolution is going to require all of us.
Yep.
All of us. There
all
are some of us who are frontline soldiers. There are some of us who are strategists. There are some of us who are healers. There are some of us who are visionaries, right? And if I'm a healer, I cannot be on the front lines.
That's right.
Because who is going to provide the spiritual, emotional first aid that people need when they come back from the front lines if
Mhm.
I'm out there on the front lines. So part of my thing in the revolution is I need to keep my body and myself settled
Yes.
so that I can administer to people
That's it.
when they return from the
Conclusion.
front line.
The
That's
hospital,
good.
man.
No,
You the
no, we
hospital.
got to stop there because
That's a word right
I'm
there.
hoping. Can we? I know we had desired to show a video. I don't know if you still want to do that. If you want to just move on.
In the spirit of what everybody just said, this is going to conclude. Killer Mike, everybody should know who he is, but if you don't, he's a rapper, but more importantly, he's a political activist. He speaks truth to power, and he's one of my heroes. So I'm going to play this little clip of a speech he had gave in Atlanta after the killing of George Floyd. So let me share my screen really quickly. In the spirit of infrastructure. So here we go. Killer Mike.
So I'm duty bound to be here to simply say that it is your duty not to burn your own house down for anger with an enemy. It is your duty to fortify your own house so that you may be a house of refuge in times of organization. And now is the time to plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize.
That's it. That's all I wanted to show. You can obviously go to YouTube and watch the rest of it. But that was a very powerful statement, and I felt like that was the perfect snippet to show and to close out this current conversation, because we also are going to finish it or continue
on
it.
the next one.
Right,
On the next. We got to.
Right.
And to add to that, as he spoke and used it used that the house of refuge from a trajectory of not burning your house or city down, we want this platform to be a refuge.
Exactly.
And so any house has a foundation, it has walls, it has it's a structure, but it becomes a home when you can truly be authentically you, right?
Safe space.
And a house of refuge is a place where there's peace. And so when we have this moment, when you guys are here, whoever's on the platform at the time, the Gentleman's Guide, we wanted to be a place of peace, as he says, a refuge. And so that's what we talked about, man. And nobody could have said it any better than him. Yeah. So Brandon, you can close us out, man, and we'll table the rest of this for the next home.
Hey, we were talking about this breaking news.
I'll call you, man. When we finish, man.
So again, gentlemen, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys sharing your truths. As stated before, this is not the end. This is only the beginning to a much larger conversation. So many things that we want to hit on. But it's like I'm amped up right now, and I'm very excited. And I know all of you feel the same energy.
Oh yeah, I do. I feel it. I'm ready to go right now. Lou, I'm ready, man.
Yeah. So
I'm ready, man.
Yeah,
I'm ready, man. Rich. Ready.
Yeah. We're going to table this conversation for now. Again, thank you so much. People listening out there, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.